You guys want to read the first 5 pages to us? Do some voices?
No, I'm not. They don't pay me to voice act.
And it's Skybou with the Talking Joe guys. Everyone calm down. We're here to talk comics. Skybou.
Hey, it's not him, Mark, it's me, Tim, and you are watching or listening to Talking Joe, the dedicated GI Joe comics podcast. Today, a very special episode. We are interviewing Joshua Williamson, writer of GI Joe for the Energon Universe at Skybound, and Tom Reilly, artist for GI Joe at Skybound's Energon Universe. Joining us is the actual host of Talking Joe. I'm just the co-host. It's Mark.
Hello, Tim.
Hello, Mark.
Hello, everyone watching and listening. I'm just getting over a festive bug, which has sort of put me on my bed for the last week. So I'm just about back to speaking, but not, a little bit nasal, a little bit coffee. So happy to have you do the intro today, Tim.
Shall we bring in our guests, Mark?
Let's do it. Here is Josh and Tom.
Hello.
Happy New Year to you.
Since we have the two of you for such a limited time, we should just jump right in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. Mark and I will just take a moment to take off our professional journalist podcaster hats and put on our fan hats and say, man, G.I. Joe is just firing on all cylinders. What a great comic. What a great time to be a fan.
Thank you. Yeah, it is a good time to be a fan. Yeah. But thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Mark, you wanna jump in?
Yeah, let's go with a curveball start to this.
All right.
A fellow G.I. Joe fan, I was reading an article. He posted a full, large, thoughtfully written, extensive article all about Thrasher being dead, and what a shocker that was. And so my first question is, Joshua, tell us you didn't do us dirty and kill Thrasher off screen.
I felt a little cruel with that one, actually. I had a debate on who it was going to be, because I was like, I wanted to be somebody, and so I went into this whole thing, and I was like, which one have we not shown yet? Which one can I get away with? And I picked him. Does he say outright he's dead, or does he say he got hurt? I think he says he's dead, right? Yeah.
It's Skybound, so it's not no prize, but I've got no prize wiggle room to bring him back, which is that...
of course, you can always bring a character back. Yeah.
Buzzer talks about him being injured, and then Ripper replies something like, "Oh, that's too bad. I liked that guy," in the past tense. So they didn't out and out say that he died. It was kind of Ripper assuming that. So I think
he says there was so much blood I couldn't get the stains out of my trailer. Yeah. That isn't necessarily he's dead. No, dude, that was tough because I love the Dreadnok so much. I mean, I have like a whole Dreadnok shelf. Actually, I have two technically, but it's like I love the Dreadnoks, and like the Thunder Machine is one of my favorites. I mean, it's funny how we blew up the Thunder Machine in Cobra Commander, and I was like, I don't care, they're gonna rebuild it. Like then we broke it again.
I've blown up that thing like 6 times, and it keeps being rebuilt.
It's so funny. We keep breaking
and I will not hide the fact that I hate drawing that thing, and I keep trying to blow it up for good, and it keeps coming back.
Yeah, so I don't want to say I pulled his name out of a hat because I really thought about it, but it was
not to pick on a previous GI Joe publisher, but there are some Dreadnoks who were created later who are technically canon Dreadnoks, but not as well known, not as popular, and I volunteer them as kill-offable
tributes.
We got plenty of tributes in these books. We got plenty of tributes.
We made a bunch of cannon fodder ones that we were just like throwaways just for this, because we knew I didn't want to kill any of the Dreadnoks off because I liked them, so I was like, let's make a bunch of random ones. So this is the only one that kind of snuck past was this one, but we don't actually say he's dead. But
I sadly started to like the throwaway ones because I started drawing them multiple times, and I'm like, oh god, this guy's gonna die, and I like this guy. I like drawing this guy.
Somebody named him. I was on an email chain. I don't know who it was. Somebody named a bunch of them.
Awesome. I didn't name any of them.
I gotta find that email. So we named a bunch of them. They had really funny names, though. They had funny names, but I have to find that email. I mean, listen, the Dreadnok stuff, even though we're in the middle of Dreadnok War, I mean, you'll see when you get to 17, like, the Dreadnok story is, like, far from over. So I can always bring in other ones. I wanted to bring in other ones, but it's really a matter of, like, we've had this conversation before. It's like, I should say I'm not allowed to, but we really try to be careful of me because my impulse is to just bring everybody in on, like, day one, you know? And so the impulse I'm always pushing against is, like, not constantly bringing as many new characters, but the Dreadnok story is far from over, so we'll definitely have more Dreadnoks that haven't been seen that we have brought in.
I think it was in your letter in the back of issue 1, you said that your biggest problem was patience. So
yeah, that's true.
From hearing your other interviews and things, I get the impression that you're almost dealing with that issue of patience by just planning way ahead, so that you're doing one issue a month, maybe 2 issues a month, but you're actually maybe just keeping on going at a more rapid pace, thinking ahead as well.
Yeah, that's true. By knowing when characters come in, when characters come back, because we are doing kind of like, I mean, you'll see is. I talk about this a lot in the letters pages too. It's like I really want to reward like the longtime readers. It's always the trick of this is rewarding people who are like hardcore GI Joe fans, rewarding the new audience who've never read GI Joe before, which we're finding a lot of. People don't know anything about GI Joe that are now reading this book and they're going out and buying classified toys because of it. Like we hear that all the time. So it's also honoring that. And then if you just picked up GI Joe #1 or Void Rivals #1 and reading, I try to make it so it really rewards you for hanging in there and like reading it, and you'll see like with the Dreadnok War and then issue 18 is the Roadblock issue. And then, this stuff's already out there, but 19 and 20 are going to be about, basically the aftermath of Dreadnok War, but it'll be about Duke meeting Optimus Prime for the first time. And, we try to make it so it's almost, stagger's the wrong word for it, but it is like this building thing where it's like you think something is over here and then it doesn't come up again until like 6 months later. But it's just constantly building. So,
can I ask the two of you, what issue are you each working on right now?
I'm not allowed to say.
He can't say what he's working on right now. I don't think what he's working on this exact moment has been announced, but it's part of what we're talking about. I am writing. It's weird, right? So I do really detailed outlines for this book. We've done it from the beginning where we really plan stuff out. So it's like. We know, and it actually makes it easier to write. So it's like when it comes to actually me putting down, I talk about this with other people we talk about writing. One of the things that I've learned, I guess, in my career is there's a difference between writing and typing. So it's like I can write out what I know an issue is, right? I can beat it out. I know exactly what an issue is. That can take forever sometimes. Like that's why I do outlines the way I do now, where it's like I know everything that happens in every issue. Like beginning and ending, beginning, middle, and end of every issue going out for like years. So it's like we know what happens. We know the major plot beats. And then when it comes to typing takes me like 2 days, 3 days max, right? So it's like once I have everything mapped out of what an issue is, then I just sit down, I just type it up, and that takes like 2 or 3 days. So to answer your question, I'm on 21.
Are you outlining and typing? Are you saying plotting and dialoguing?
Mm-mm. No, that stuff I'll do. I mean, it's mostly plot. It's plot and character, and then I'll go back through and do. So it's like this. Like I'll basically break out what's going to happen in like my notebook. Like here are the stages of the story, right? So at this point, we've written it out pretty far. Then I will type up literally just here's where I think everything is. Here's what happens to this issue. Here's the thing. Here's the stuff. Here are the character moments. Like here's the plot plus a little bit of character, and then I flesh out each issue. Once I get that stage, I'll basically it has to get approved as well. So like Skybou, I talked about it, that Hasbro approves it. Like everybody, we go through this approval process. That's part of why we detail these outlines so tight, because it's like we want to make sure that everything gets approved and we're all on the same page, especially if you're building a universe. And then what I do is I'll basically do like a page break of like what that issue is, like 1 through 20. Here's what that issue is. Here's what happens every page. Here's the point of every page. And then I'll start doing dialogue, and that will change things. Like sometimes I'll be in the middle of dialogue and be like, this page doesn't work. This page doesn't work. I don't even need this page. Or this page I thought was going to be 3 pages. Nope, it's 1. Like I'll kind of rearrange things like that. By the time I'm at that stage, then I'm typing. That's why it takes like 3 days. Because I could probably type a whole script up if I had it like nailed in a day, but you start making changes. You start going through and being like, oh, this doesn't work anymore. Because now I'm really in it, and I got to rearrange some things. It is. The only thing that's a challenge sometimes is because we plot things out, it does make pivoting a little hard at times, you know? But then we just talk about it. Like there are times where it's like, hey, I didn't put this in the outline, but this is what should happen in this moment. And we talk through it. But in terms of me like sitting and typing, I'm on 21, but plotting, I mean, we're out years.
Oh.
Like we're planned out pretty far. Like I saw Tom at New York Comic Con, and I told him everything we were doing for years. But go on, Tim. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No. It's, we have learned to let the interesting interviewee keep answering a question.
Yeah. Don't stop a person when they're talking. Yeah, if they're giving the answers you want. Yeah.
To the point you were making about sort of rewarding people paying attention and all of that kind of thing as well, we're quite used to like the Harmer cadence of writing, and when he's sort of putting something out there, you know, maybe it's going to be followed up the next issue, maybe it's going to be 50 issues down the line, maybe it'll be never, and so I'm constantly surprised about how quickly we're seeing the follow-up of sort of like foundations being built on. It's like Major Blood is blind. I wonder how that will play out. I wonder when the next time it is that we'll see Major Blood, and it's like, oh, the next issue we find out what's happened to him.
We ended with him. Yeah, well, that's because I wanted to end it where we started, because technically, if you look at the way that collection is the way that I don't write for the collection. I just try to write the best single issues. Is really where my head's at a lot of times. And GI Joe and Duke and Cobra Commanders taught me a lot about that. I have a lot of conversations with other writers I know about this, where right now we're in this moment where every issue matters. You cannot wait for the trade at all. I mean, Scott Snyder, I talk about this like almost on the daily. That's a big inspiration for Energon Universe, a big inspiration obviously for the Absolute Universe. It's like every issue matters. Yeah, so when I'm building out this stuff of like, so in issue in the collection, we have an Energon special where we introduce that Major Blood was like looking for Baroness. Like it kind of was part of the beginning part, and pieces with that. And then you get to the ending of that collection, and it's Major Blood has gone through this whole journey where he lost his eyes, but he gets his eyes back because of Cobra Commander. But that made sense because Cobra Commander and Destro were talking about him wanting to do human experiments. So it like, you know, it all kind of like it. You don't realize all these things are leading in the same direction, and then we dovetail them together, and then we bring them apart again, we bring them back together again, and I don't know. I like writing this way. I like setting up. I like foreshadowing anyway. So it's like nothing is ever random. You know, it's all building to something. So yeah. And there are some things that won't pay off for a while. Anyway, go ahead, Tim. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Now a question for both of you, folks. If you're listening and not watching, Tom Reilly is drawing.
I'm here. I'm locked in.
He's not looking. Here. He's not looking at the camera. He's turned away from the camera and he's drawing. And we can't quite see what he's drawing, but it's probably comics. Okay. Can the two of you talk about costumes? Because we have these additional Dreadnoks. We have Cobra Commander's revised costume, which Mark and I think of as Napoleonic. So Joshua, what cues?
And Cobra Commander specifically, he had his classic costume, he had his issue 1 relaunch Napoleonic, and then he had his Dreadnok War retweaked design with the kind of the black front down it as well. So
I'm gonna let Tom talk about all of it. Like Tom puts a lot of thought into this. So I feel like you saw me set up when you started talking about it. So you should, Tom.
Yeah.
Fill him in on everything you want to talk about with Cobra Commander.
A lot of different sort of Napoleonic influences for Cobra Commander, because he's kind of like he wants to take over the world, you know, that's his goal, and a guy with grand ambitions should have a sweet outfit, grand outfit. So the design change for the Dreadnok War was just because I assumed a guy like that would have a bunch of different sweet outfits, because there's some vanity involved with his, you know, personality and his pursuits, and he'd want to look sweet all the time. I also wanted to give him a cape, and with the big collar on that jacket, to have a cape with that big collar would kind of clash. It would be weird. So I gave him a different kind of more streamlined coat, upper body, so that he could also wear the big flowing cape. And then you can maybe add some stuff onto that later if I keep that look. I don't know. Maybe he'll have another one. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the fun thing is. He just keeps on redesigning them. I mean, we did look at it from obviously I like the toys. You know, and it's like I love Cobra Commander. He's one of my favorite characters. Like he's probably my favorite character to write. Like I like writing him and Duke a lot, but I mean, I like all of them actually. It depends on the issue sometimes. But I love Cobra Commander a lot, and so the idea of having like two different looks for Cobra Commander constantly is really fun. I like showing him in these different setups, and so it is fun with Tom to be like, oh, because I had this when we talked about Dreadnok War like years ago now, because that was one of the ones that we were really excited about.
Yeah.
There we had a visual of Duke and Cobra Commander, Mad Max style, walking in the desert. Like we always knew that was a visual we were going to have at some point, but it was like they got to look like super cool, you know? And like, yeah,
Obviously,
dude, I love. This is one of my favorite covers. Yeah, this one's so good. It's so much fun.
Yeah, having the broken visor with the eye.
Yeah, because Road Pig got him in the face. It was so brutal. Yeah, I love this a lot. This stuff is so cool. But yeah, it's fun with Tom because Tom does put a lot of thought into all the designs. Like I'll kind of like here's sort of this. It's interesting. I'll kind of be like, here's the environment that we're gonna put them in. And then Tom's like, I got you, and then he just like runs with it. You know? So it's really cool. Yeah,
And it's not just the costumes. It's like I had to figure out what Cobra Commander's body looks like. He's like a weird, messed up guy.
yeah, because of the explosion and stuff. Yeah,
He's got those pink veins. He's been experimented on, sort of. He's been given these weird treatments that have maybe changed him in strange ways. So how do I visually show that this guy's not quite a man?
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
Once a man.
Yeah.
And it's not also it's just not the redesign of the characters. It seems like you're very purposeful about the accessories that you're giving your characters to, and sort of picking sort of choices of weaponry and stuff, sort of plucking it from real world influences that aren't necessarily the go-to guns that we're used to seeing in comics.
Yeah, and I mean that's like that's always been part of GI Joe, is those weapons that they have been based on like real weapons, and the vehicles are based on real vehicles and stuff. So I've tried to carry that over, and I've tried to give people interesting weapons or equipment that you haven't seen all the time. Like no one's got like an MP5 or something that's like the universal submachine gun. I've tried to kind of give people more interesting looking weapons that also at the same time aren't that hard to repeatedly draw.
Mm-hmm.
Even though sometimes they just end up losing their weapons.
Yeah, inevitably. one panel and it's gone.
Well, otherwise they'd just shoot the bad guys. It's tough.
Are you interested in real world weaponry in terms of going down to a shooting range or anything like that, or is it just the visual fun of seeing them and drawing them?
Not really. And I'm not really a gun guy, but it's just part of the job. So I gotta do the research on it. But I wouldn't really own a gun, I don't think. I think my grandpa gave me a shotgun, so I own an over-under shotgun. I like shooting skeet is fun. That's as far as I would go, though.
Mm-hmm. All right, so your photo reference for any Flint pose is taken care of.
Oh, yeah.
Tom, I wanted to ask about both of you, because Joshua, it might be a cue in the script. We keep seeing Cobra Commander, we keep seeing shadows reflected in Cobra Commander's mask, and really precise ones with a character or sort of an emotional moment with these sort of pyrodynamics or these sort of implied threats with Destro or with Duke and Roadblock and Road Pig and the Dreadnok War. So this feels like a device that we haven't seen much use of in a long time. There's that one shot at the beginning of the animated GI Joe movie where Pythona,
the fire's coming.
I was going to say Pythona
I'm thinking of the intro.
Running. Yes, that too. So there are two good uses of it in the animated movie. But suddenly it feels like a device, and I mean a thoughtful, positive device. Can the two of you speak to this?
I mean, sometimes it's in the script, sometimes it's not. I mean, sometimes it is. We talk through it. Tom does really detailed outline or thumbs that we talk through, But I mean, most of the time he just nails it like right out the gate. Sometimes it's in the script, sometimes it's not. The trick with Cobra Commander is that he has no expression, so you have to use the reflection to almost tell you what he is feeling. So it's like that's part of why that scene happened in Cobra Commander, where it was like my original thought in Cobra Commander was that like he was gonna watch Nemesis slaughter those Dreadnoks, And I literally originally wrote in the script, Cobra Commander smiles. And I was like, he can't smile. You can't ever see it. And that's when I was like, oh, I got to go back. And I rewrote that scene so that he had the smiley face painted on in blood. And so it's always this kind of trick of like, how do we convey kind of what's going on in Cobra Commander's head with this mask on? And sometimes it's really as simple as the reflection. So it's like, we sometimes will call out scenes for the reflection, and then sometimes Tom will do it. Like, he's like, oh, I think it should be like this and this and this. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, and Tom's, one of the things I really love about working with Tom, there's this video I like watching every once in a while. It's by director Steven Soderbergh, and they're talking about his feeling that why do we tell stories the same way every time? Like, why do we always show certain scenes? And he always uses the example of like, you watch a movie where a man walks into a bank and you see the shot of the bank, and then the man walks into the bank, and then he sits and there's 2 shots with him talking to the banker. Like, we've all seen that scene. And so we did it, I think, in Out of Sight. It's like, you just see George Clooney walk into a place, but your mind fills in the blanks. It knows it's a bank, and he sits. You don't even see the banker, but you know what's going on. And I think about that one in the scripts, and I feel like Tom thinks about that when he's drawing them. He's just like, how do I do this in a way that isn't the expected thing? Like, there's a scene in 17, I don't want to ruin it, but there's a couple parts in 17 where it's like Tom took the most interesting angle choices, and sometimes those are things like, again, I don't want to ruin 17 for you because there's 17 is bonkers. 17.
I'm interested to hear what you're referencing because I want to know. I do want to know that.
It's a part with Duke toward the ending.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a part with Duke toward the end. But sometimes that is just like, using Cobra Commander's visor as a storytelling device to sort of, I don't know, it's cool. I also like using reflective surfaces and using things that are aspect shots. I get bored when comics are just like, and there's a bunch of medium shots of people. So I'm always trying to put stuff in there that aren't that, and Tom also excels at that,
It's easy to show with the visor 2 people talking. You can have a close-up, a very dramatic close-up of Cobra Commander, and then have, like, Destro's face in the reflection. It doesn't have to be, like, a 2 people side by side, or, like, a wide shot of them really tiny.
Yeah.
You can kind of have it's extra real estate. It's like a panel within a panel.
Yeah, basically. That's exactly right.
Also, a very unsexy explanation is his helmet has a mirror finish, so a lot of the things you see in the helmet, like explosions or like a hand or a face, it's just because the helmet is shiny and polished, and you would see that. I do pick and choose what you see, but like you got to add a little bit of that mirror finish to show that it is super shiny. So sometimes I add stuff just because it needs to be filled in because it's a shiny surface, and sometimes it's more of a storytelling device.
And then we got a very non-shiny issue. What is this? 15, where they're mostly hung up in the attic in the dark. Yes, yeah. It's a very different kind of approach to Cobra Commander. We noted some parallels to the Killing Joke in that issue. Was that something that you're consciously thinking of in the creation?
No, not at all. No. Not at all. That's funny because you're thinking 9-pound grid and the color. I mean, that's interesting because Jordy, I think the way she colored a lot of that issue and that scene where it's like, we've been very selective. It was actually something that she did early on in Duke #1 where she colored a couple scenes with red, and so red kind of took a different meaning in the book, and we've been protective of when we use red. And you'll see that red has increased across these issues because obviously it's like the sun is setting, and you know what I mean? Like it's when there's a lot of red in that issue, it's because you're kind of at the midway point. We're at the height of the stakes, like things are kind of hitting a certain way. It's funny how Dreadnok War all takes place within like 24 hours, I think.
Yeah. Give or take.
I don't want to ruin 17 for you, but you'll see the way 17 plays out and stuff that, you'll see when you get to the end of 17, sort of how things play out. But I was not influenced by Killing Joke on that. That's funny. I was thinking about Killing Joke a few weeks ago, but no, I wasn't influenced by that.
I also thought I was seeing a little bit of Jaime Hernandez in that attic scene where Duke and Cobra Commander are hung up and talking in the approach to inking and light. But that might be a very general art comparison. Between
I was not thinking like that, but I mean, He's great, and he's definitely, I maybe subconsciously have some of that. I was looking at some Frank Miller Sin City stuff. That's the classic sort of chiaroscuro black and white. But other than that, I wasn't really looking at any reference or like thinking of anything in particular when I was drawing that stuff.
I was thinking way more about horror movies with those issues. Whenever we get away from, I mean, I guess with this arc in particular, I was probably thinking way more movie influences with this arc in particular than anything else. Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking a lot about, you know, I mean, obviously we were looking at things like Mad Max and, you know, obviously Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, I was definitely looking at those kinds of tropey stuff more so in the way those were shot. I mean, I literally sent Tom like screen grabs and stuff from movies to be like this, this, and then he ran with it. But yeah, I love that issue. I was glad we got to slow down for a moment just to have the two of them talking in an attic together. I like when we do that in the book every once in a while, where two characters just have a conversation about their feelings and what's going on. It's good to remind the reader of literally what is actually at stake, and that's these characters' motivation, what they actually want. And it's the dynamic between Duke and Cobra Commander is so fascinating because you do see these kind of like this every few months. You know, it's like they had that scene at the end of, I mean, issue 6 was the two of them talking for the first time, and then it's like now we get to see them talk here realistically. Like it's this building sort of understanding and antagonism of each other. I don't know. There's a part in 17 that I was looking at the other day, and that Tom nailed with Cobra Commander. That is like, it's such a. I'm gonna say it to you guys. So I'm curious what you're gonna think when you get to 17. There is such a fuck you moment from Cobra Commander. It's like one of my favorite things Tom has done because he just nailed it. But there's like a fuck you moment from Cobra Commander that I adore. that I'm curious if anyone's gonna pick up on and see, but we'll see. Yeah,
He is petty.
he is petty. That's something that is just like I personally really love it. So I'm curious if people are gonna pick up on it when we get to that page.
We get such a range from Cobra Commander. He is a fantastic character, but you kind of get, I guess, sort of vulnerability. You get sort of that pure, you know, evil sense in an occasion, and then you get the wackiness because there's that moment in is it issue 6 where he just sort of, you know, hops off the building.
Yeah,
he walked off the building. That was Tom. Tom did that. I had him jump. Tom walked him off. He was right. He was like, no, he would walk off. He wouldn't jump. Yeah. Yeah. He's not a man of extreme. I mean, you see that he is a man of extreme, but he's not always. Like, he's much more, like, he's full of himself. I mean, he's Cobra Commander. I mean, that, you know, like, he's theatrical. He's ego-driven. He's petty. You know, he's always looking out for himself. I think the only thing we changed, and we've talked about this before, the only thing we changed was he doesn't run from a fight. Like, that's the most we've kind of changed from him at this point, is that it's all... He's really manipulative in all of his choices, but he was like that before. So I love writing him. He's probably, one of my favorite characters to write in the book, which I'm glad we got to have him here so much, because in the arc previous, we mostly had like smaller scenes with him. So getting to have him so much in this arc has been a lot of fun. I mean, you'll see. I don't know. We have a lot of fun stuff coming.
Yeah, we're almost at time.
Tim, let's go Tim first. Tim, go. And Mark.
I think I know the answer to this question. Deadline announced that Skybound is developing an animated series called Energon Universe and potentially shopping it to streamers or studios. Any comments?
No.
Okay.
I have no comment.
Not allowed to talk about it. I know stuff, but I can't talk about anything.
Okay.
I heard about it with everyone else, and I thought, cool, and I went back to drawing.
We're very excited. That's the most I can say. Anyway, go on.
Cool. That was the same question I was going to ask. But if we finish on one question, it was going to be that you famously, Joshua, you'd been working on a GI Joe notebook ahead of even, you know, any confirmation that you were actually going to work on the project, even just before discussing it with Skybound. I was curious as to how many of those original ideas that you had, you know, way back when, before you got the gig, have sort of made their way into the work or into the plans so far.
Oh man, a lot, but not even close to all. There's a bunch that I'm not sure if I'm ever going to get to, because, you know, there's so many characters. I mean, I really went through like all the characters and kind of was like, what are my thoughts? So a friend of mine, his name is Jason Ho. He was also a consultant for Skybound early on, and talking about GI Joe stuff, Transformers stuff. And he had this thing that he said he loves it. He had read everything, watched everything. Like he's a big Hasbro fan, and he had this thing really early on. He said, he was like, just have a plan for everything. Even if you don't use it, have a thought for everything. Like, don't willy-nilly it. Like, go through and be like, I like this character, what could I potentially do with them? And I took that to heart, because I was like, he was saying, he's like, oftentimes you would find in some of these projects, as a person who is just a fan, you know, he would be like, oh, it felt like sometimes something would come up and they clearly didn't have a plan for it or something, and it's like, so I went through the vast majority of the characters, and we just kind of had like a thought, and it's easy because in some ways you have the file card there, so it's like, I always go back to the file card as kind of the origin point for everything, so it's like, I look at whatever the file card is, and then I go, okay, what is the Energon Universe twist on this character, and just sort of start building out. So there's one story with a particular character. I can't spoil, like two particular characters. One's really popular, another one, they're Cobra characters or villains, I'll tell you that much. So that I'm not sure if I'll ever get to. It's just a matter of room. It's like when I start mapping it out, I'm like, oh, when would I get to that? Like we mapped it out so far in advance, so that I'm like, that's the only one that I'm like, I'm not sure if I'll ever get to that one, but we have plans for so much going out so far.
Skybound occasionally does these issues with 4 extra pages and doesn't charge any increased cover price. Mm-hmm. Maybe some more of those.
Oh. Yeah. Talking about banking stuff, I've done the same exact thing with designs. I come up with things unprompted, and sometimes they get used, even though I've come up with them sometimes years ago. I've come up with them, and they circle back around, and they're like, "Hey, it's time. It's time to bring this one out."
Use it. Yeah, it's crazy. We have so much planned.
If I didn't have it done, maybe it wouldn't have happened. So, always bank stuff if you think it's a good idea.
And have you lobbied Tom to get stuff included into the plot?
There's one character I know you want to do. We're gonna figure it out. Don't tell him what it is, though.
Yeah, no questions about that at this time.
Character he knows I love this character. He loves this character, that we just haven't figured out where yet. Like we know the thing of it, and I think I know where to put it, but it's one of my favorite characters as well. So it's that thing where it's like you want to make sure every character gets like a cool introduction and a cool story piece. They're not just like in the background. It's like, or they're walking through, and you're like, man, I love that character. They're just walking through,
pushing a pallet.
Yeah, pushing a pallet or something,
missiles,
or right. Yeah. Like I try to, but yeah, there's one character particularly I know Tom really wants to do, and we'll figure it out. We're gonna get there. We just have so much planned. Like it's wild sometimes.
One last, since this comes up in the letters page, the character of Snake Eyes. There's conventional wisdom that this character has to be introduced soon, and people can't wait for it. And Mark and I are happy to wait for it. So there's 2 votes for. Waiting on Snake Eyes is okay.
You will not. Here's what I will say about Snake Eyes. I mean, I joke in the past about Snake Eyes. I'm like, I don't know who Snake Eyes even is. Like all that stuff. We joke about that. But I will say this with Snake Eyes is you don't always think Snake Eyes is around every corner. I feel like we've done a really good job, I think, of surprising people with things and doing things in a way that maybe not be the expected thing. And so I think that will definitely continue with Snake Eyes. Like don't expect him around every corner, but I guess expect the unexpected with him and the surprise of him more so. You'll see. It'll be interesting to see when we eventually get to Snake Eyes, but there's other stuff coming. I mean, don't forget there was a Scarlet series where Storm Shadow was in it. That might come up soon. Who knows? Maybe that comes up real soon. That's a whole subplot that we sat on. So that might become important. That might be important at some point,
Cool. I know you wanted to get away, Josh.
I gotta get back to work. I have a meeting to go to. Yeah,
I may have to get back to it. I'm at it right now, but I might have to.
we'll leave it there then.
Back to it.
Joshua, Superman's been great, and I look forward to Iron Man. Congrats on having so many books. When Iron Man got announced, I said, is Joshua Williamson too busy? Is he going to not be able to do all this GI Joe? So,
oh no, I'm not going anywhere. No. I mean, I'm always busy. It was funny this last year. I was talking to Tyler about this, where it was like this last year I cut back publicly. I cut back to just Superman and GI Joe, but I was secretly behind the scenes, like just adding more work and writing stuff that wasn't coming out yet. And I think this year you'll definitely see a lot of work from me this year. But I'm not leaving Superman or GI Joe anytime soon. Like I like writing them a lot, and they're just, I don't know, they're really rewarding on like multiple creative levels for me. So it's like I'm not gonna leave those 2 anytime soon.
That was great. So good to have Josh and Tom back on the show, Tim.
Yes. One question I didn't get to ask Joshua Williamson is how envious he was of Tom Reilly, because Tom Reilly signed at my store, Hub Comics, 13 months ago, and Joshua Williamson has not signed at my store. And it's a vague goal of mine to have the writer of great GI Joe comics, Mr. Williamson, sign at my store. But I guess I'll never know. I guess I'll never know the answer to that question.
Well, until you ask him.
Oh no, not if he would or not. Just how jealous is he that
right.
he hasn't signed at my store yet, but his collaborator has. How jealous is he?
I see. Yeah.
As you recall, I think when GI Joe #1 came out, I think Mr. Williamson was doing a signing at a different store. So
That's right.
It might have been hard for him to fly across the country to like a day later sign at my store. But that's old news. That was GI Joe #1. We are wrapping up the Dreadnok War and wrapping up this episode. So, Mark, take it away.
Sorry to all of our listeners if you're frustrated that you wanted to have a question asked that we didn't get to. Unfortunately, we did only have a short window for this interview because, as expected, Joshua Williamson is a very busy guy. He's doing a lot. He's writing a lot. So we couldn't unfortunately monopolize his time. I'm sure we would very easily be able to talk for many an hour and certainly get to a few more of those questions that we also would like to ask. But that aside, hopefully we will talk to them again before too very long. So if you are new to Talking Joe, you can find out all about Talking Joe at the website, which is called talkingjoe.co.uk. That website points you in the directions of all of the places we can be found online, like Facebook, like YouTube, like podcast platforms, like to our merchandise store even. It also points you towards our Patreon site, patreon.com/talkingjoe. So a big thanks to Richard, Sam, Bill, Rob, Shane, Simon, Chris, Joe, Craig, Frank, D, Shane V2. This Shane is a very busy guy, so we can't talk about him for too long. Infinite Entertainment, Patrick, Gary V, and Coldroff. They are getting early access to content as well as a warm glow in their hearts for supporting the channel. Where can you be found, Tim, when you're not talking to me and illustrious guests?
I have a YouTube page where my creative partners and I post video essays on television and film. That's Atomic Abe. I have a comic book store in Somerville, Massachusetts, Hub Comics. One of my secret projects I will be able to publicly talk about by the time this episode posts or a week after. So there's another line to add to your bio down there on screen, Mark. And I write about GI Joe at my blog, arealamericanbook.com.
Very good. And until we can be found next time, Tim, is there anything that you'd just like to leave our listeners thinking about until we return?
There is, Mark. There is. It's the fact that nobody beats Talking Joe, an international podcast.
Laters.